Pleasure to welcome you all to the inaugural Motor Neuron Disease New Zealand Research Conference. The conference is a result of many months of collaboration between MND New Zealand and our colleagues at the New Zealand MND Research Network.
You know what I love coming to occasions like this when you bring whole communities together. You bring researchers together, you bring clinicians together, you bring people from every walk of life together, and most of all you bring families together.
But I think it's a really exciting time. I want to stay around for another little while to see this happening. I want to see new treatments. So to conclude, ALS is definitely a syndrome. We're getting better at defining subphenotypes. There are new treatments. They will be driven by precision medicine, and it's already happening. It's happening with the genomics.
It's our hope that study result can contribute a better understanding of the disease in New Zealand, and if we can apply the result into the practice, into the workplace, try to reduce the exposures, we may can help to develop the diseases later on.
Very clear to me that people living with ALS want to do this, they want to take part and contribute, and actually again it comes down to us to make this happen. It is very logistically challenging, it requires a lot of personnel, but you can do it, and I think it's the way we have to move. We can't really always bring people back and do separate studies and days. We want to do this joined up in the clinic when we see them.
What I really want to say is that all of these studies, in brains and cells and the genetic studies, are studies with people with MND, for people with MND. It's not just us working away in the lab. We have you come in, you see what we do, we tell you about it at these kinds of public talks, and it's not possible without people being part of our research, so thank you very much for that.
It is pretty remarkable that some of these therapies are making such a big difference, and I'm not sure that there's an easy success in motor neuron disease just around the corner like that, but I think we're learning a lot from these early successes in other fields to be able to try and translate that to treat people with motor neuron disease.
These are the research study for which we have recruited the participants already, and the upcoming research study of Dr. Emma, which we are in process to recruit participants at the moment.
At the end of the day, the most important thing that we can do is to make sure that we have really good multidisciplinary clinics, either the controlling types that Orla does, or the less controlling collaborative approach that we do, because we have 4 clinics in Quebec. But every one of these things is going to be super duper important.
But generally, this is how I think about the treatment for motor neuron disease. We have neuroprotective therapy, as we have riluzole, and we've heard about that. Then there are lots of symptoms that people with motor neuron disease have to face on a day-to-day basis, and there's quite a lot we can do to manage those symptoms. And then underpinning all of this is a multidisciplinary approach to supportive care.
So yes, we like creative solutions, and we like to think outside the box, and we like to make the system work. So, as I say, MND is still incurable, but it's not untreatable.
I think there's a real need to keep pressure on the health providers to actually improve the overall provision for motor neuron disease and especially the respiratory aspects of it.
These upper and motor neuron changes lead to challenges across all aspects of that upper airway: the speech, swallowing, voice, breathing and airway protection. And it's that common pathway that's led us to some of the things that we're now doing in this area.
But to give you a little bit of insight, I'm a big believer about perspectives, and as a therapist, as a researcher, I think it's imperative that we put ourselves in our clients' shoes from time to time and realise what it is like, so that what we provide them hopefully better meets their needs.
How do we look at the education and support of patients and families and professionals? So coming back, we need to look at symptoms, we need to look at the psychosocial care, we need to look at that wider support, and we need to provide that coordinated care. Thank you.
So where do we go from here? We've had massive progress over the last 40 years. We've got much greater knowledge, much greater ability to measure things. We've got better approaches to treatment development, and I hope over the next 40 years we'll have much greater advances. Precision medicine is probably the way forward for at least some types of motor neuron disease. Each person is different, and then you could target therapy and you could do better ways of doing trials, which I haven't really talked about today. but is also important. And we need to understand how to distinguish the different types of motor neuron disease, where we design a treatment specific to each person, and for that we'd probably need biomarkers for all the different aspects of the disease.
Just the very final closing words, I would like to say, to reiterate what I've said earlier, we really need to push, all of us in this room. We are the stakeholders, and there's no point looking outside to who might do this, because it's us in this room. So we need to push for the infrastructure for MND research in New Zealand. We need to push for funding, the expertise and access to these potential therapies that are being developed elsewhere. All of these things exist in this room. So don't look outside this room, look to yourself to do something. We do need to do more, faster and better, but today gives me huge confidence that we will. So it's my great pleasure to close this meeting and say thank you very much to everyone who's attended.